A new entrance song for West Virginia Mountaineer football. Bruce Irvin as on the sidelines as an assistant coach. Could it be? Well, I don't know, but that's what we're going to talk about in today's episode of Couz's Corner. And I'm here joined by my special guest, Tyler Cobb from the Cold Country Podcast. Tyler, what's up, man?
I'm pretty good, Couz. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining the show today, man.
I appreciate you having me on.
What decided? Obviously, what made me decide to get you on here today was, the banter on X about a new entrance song, and I am totally on board with that, and I've been kind of beating that drum to a degree for the last couple of years. Did not want to disrespect the band because I know the band has their tradition that they like to do, playing the song as the team comes out and whatnot. But you being a former member of the band, you had an interesting take on it. What are your takes? What is your take rather on the entrance for West Virginia? And as a background, by the way, what brought this conversation on was the conversation about Enter Sandman and Virginia Tech, right? How their entrance is looked at as one of the best in the country. So, anyway, what's your take on it?
Yeah. I actually think there was a little bit of discourse the previous year as well. Uh, I just, you talk about Enter Sandman, and there's other colleges around the country that have their own version of.
Marshall.
Yeah, Marshall has
Even Marshall's entrance is pretty cool with
Marshall has
Thunderstruck. Yeah.
has a cool entrance. If I'm not mistaken, Alabama does a pretty cool one.
Tennessee.
Penn State comes to mind with their gosh, I
Mhm.
can't think of the name of that song, but Penn State has a fun one. And then you think of West Virginia, and it's kind of just all over the place. You obviously get that little hype video, so to speak, towards the end of pregame, and there's music playing as the team comes towards the end of the tunnel, but it's never really a specific song. It's changed from year to year, and then when the team actually runs out, it's just the band playing "Hail West" again.
Mhm.
And as you mentioned, I'm a former member of the band, and I love everything we do. I think we have one of the best pre games in the country. I think we're one of the best bands in the country, even though I am a little biased. But in that moment, I just think cutting out the sound system and the hype music, so to speak, like Enter Sandman, like Thunderstruck, and going to Hail West, which the band has already played at that point, it kind of kills momentum. It kind of kills the vibe a little
I
bit.
totally agree.
And I just, having an actual entrance song, I think would add to the atmosphere a little bit more. That West Virginia already has a great atmosphere, but it would add to it a little bit more to start the game.
I agree. I agree with you, man. And I think it's the word I would use is because you got the video is great. Like it gets you fired up. It shows a lot of the great Mountaineers from the past. Carl Joseph knocking people's heads off. Pat White, Tavon. I mean, it shows you all the greats.
Yep.
And then, you got that, you've got something like, For Whom the Bell Tolls or something playing as the video's rolling. Then all of a sudden, which is a Metallica song for those who don't know, for those who may not be metalheads. And then all of a sudden, boom, the band starts playing. And you can barely even hear the band playing because the crowd is so loud at that point.
Yeah.
So it's almost pointless. And B, no offense to that song, but it's not really a pump up song. Like it doesn't get me fired up and make me want to run through a brick wall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of the word I would use is buzzkill. Is kind of the way I would describe it.
That's a good way to look at it.
And I don't mean that at all to be disrespectful. They still need to do their pregame thing and play the song, but just not in that spot, But I know there are a lot of traditionalists out there who want to keep things as they are, especially the people who, are really there and really, really love to hear the band play and all that. But man, I just think at some point you've got to, and I don't know how much difference it makes and how well the team does, but from the fan experience perspective, I think that really cool hype song, whatever song you're playing, keep it playing. And we need to find one that really fits, hold on to it and make it a tradition. I'm not saying you got to copy Virginia Tech. Let me ask you this. I used to even say, hey, we don't even want to use a Metallica song because it's too close to Virginia Tech. But I've kind of come off that a little bit. I'm like, who gives a crap? If you want to use For Whom the Bell Tolls or Sad But True or Wherever I May Roam, which is another couple good ones that you could use them. I mean, there are a lot of good songs out there by Metallica that you could use. I mean, I remember when I played football, we used to use all those songs in the locker room before the games, man. And by the time we ran out on the field, I was ready to freaking fight somebody. So, what are your thoughts on Metallica as a whole, and just something close to that?
I think it's perfectly fine to use Metallica. I mean, there's so many different teams across the country, FBS teams across the country that all use a different song. I mean, you're obviously going to use the same song as somebody
Right,
or the same artist. Now, obviously, I wouldn't support using Enter Sandman, like that's
right,
Virginia Tech's thing. Don't
correct,
use
correct.
Enter Sandman. But if you're gonna use For Whom the Bells Toll, like even though it's a Metallica song, go for it.
Yeah,
Uh, I I put that Freebird thing out on Twitter the other day. That was a late night thought that wasn't my best idea. Uh, but I've seen
uh-huh.
a lot of ACDC Hell's Bells. I like that idea.
Yep,
Uh,
I don't mind
and
it.
and I don't know off the top of my head any school that actually does use Hell's Bells as an entrance song.
Mhm.
And we obviously have the little bell ringing on third down, so it
Correct.
kind of ties in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little. I appreciate you owning up to that. That Freebird, and I look. You and I have debated a lot of stuff on X. I think it's all out of respect. None of my
Yeah.
debates with you are ever malicious, and if I ever come across as a jackhole, I don't mean to. Uh, I have a tendency to be passionate about my opinion sometimes and go too far. But anyway, so I'll just apologize in advance. But yeah, now if you wanted to use the fast part of Freebird, maybe. But even that, I'm not sure it's the right beat. But I don't hate the canary idea. You could throw that in there somewhere. Uh, I think you could even maybe use a mixture of a couple different songs. I threw out on TikTok a couple years ago, Korn's "Blind," where you have a really good intro music, and then all of a sudden it goes, "Are you ready?" And then the team runs out, right? And a lot of people don't like Korn. That's fine, but maybe you could use that and then throw another song in right after the "Are you ready?" like "From Whom the Bell Tolls" or "Hell's Bells" or something. And I even took that same video that I posted on TikTok and added Hell's Bells to it. Works pretty darn good, to be honest with you. But
Another song well, you mentioned like kind of doing a mashup of a couple songs. I do really like the beginning of Hell's Bells, and I think
yep,
it works particularly well at night games when you can kick
yep.
off the lights and just have the bells going.
Hmm.
Um, I had an idea of where you could use the beginning of Hell's Bells where you just use the bells, but instead of going into the main part of Hell's Bells, I like "Kickstart My Heart" by Motley Crue.
I
Um,
don't hate that idea.
that one I thought I listened to the other night. I thought that one sounded like a quality
And I
entrance
think
song.
it would be unique too.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and if they could figure out a way to bleep out the curse words, I even like Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit.
They can
You
figure it
know,
out. They got enough
yeah.
technology to
Or
make it
just use the
happen.
part of the song that's not cursing, which for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of look. The media team at West Virginia does a great job. They could figure it out, right?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
They're
There's there
incredible,
I, there are a
incredible
lot of
team.
WWE theme songs I could think of that would be decent for them to run out to. I mean, even have Stone Cold's Glass Break and then bleed that into a song, right? There are 1,000 different ideas. I was going to play my TikTok video, but then I got to realizing that YouTube would demonetize the video if I do that, so I won't. But uh, I'm a big Corn guy, so I thought it was a great idea. But in that video, if you recall, think back a couple years to when Neil Brown was here, in the video they played on the board. About halfway through, it showed guys kind of in the dark putting their helmet on.
Mhm.
Well, if you line Hell's Bells up and have the bells start ringing about the time the guys slide their helmet on in the dark, I think that's a pretty cool vibe, And then, of course, if you could throw in some of the big hits, you could throw in the train coming. Crazy Train by Ozzy's, another one
That
that
was
could,
another one I had written
yeah,
down.
that's another one they could add in. So there are a lot of good ideas. I know the late great Golden Blue dude, God rest his soul. He used to always want Five Finger Death Punch song played. I never did find one I thought would fit, but not again. A lot of options out there that they could find. I definitely think they need to up their game. Here, one comment I saw during our little conversation was West Virginia already has one of the top traditions in college sports with the singing of country roads at the end of a game.
Mhm.
So they don't think we necessarily have to have anything big at the beginning of the game. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I do think singing "Country Roads" at the end of a win is up there in terms of college football traditions, but I don't think that necessarily means that you're limited to only country roads,
Mhm.
right? And I'll go back to saying I don't think you're taking away any tradition by adding a song because as we said, the music video cuts out, the band hops back in on what's called trombone trio of Hail West Virginia. But at that point, we've already played Hail West Virginia, right? So you get Fight Mountaineers, Mountain Dew towards the beginning, Simple Gifts, Alma Mater,
Mhm.
National Anthem, Country Roads, Hail West, and then it's the video time, and then the video cuts off, and it's just back to Hail West.
Mhm.
So you're not cutting Hail West out of the pregame just by not playing it the second time.
Right.
So you're not really taking away a tradition, but as in terms of the country roads thing at the end of wins, I don't necessarily think that means we couldn't find our own tradition to begin the games as well.
Very well put. And, I'm glad you pointed out because I've been to a lot of games and I never really noticed. I mean, they do play Hell West twice, and I never really even
Mhm.
noticed that. I guess it just never it was not ever anything I paid attention to. But they play it as their I guess they make the West Virginia formation, right? And as they're breaking that up,
Mhm.
they're playing it, right? Is that when they play it?
Well, like the state outline.
Yes.
Yeah, so the last, set is what we call
Mhm.
it, for country roads is when we
Mhm.
go to the state outline of West
Right.
Virginia, and then that picks up into Hail West, and then we
Right.
revert it, do the "Let's Go Mountaineer"
Right.
chant, but yeah, you technically play it
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah. I never even. I mean, I guess I knew it, but never paid any attention to it. So that's a great point. So you're not taking that away completely. You're just okay. There's no, let's take out the redundancy of it and do something else, like play a freaking Metallica song or something that gets the fans and the players fired up,
Yeah.
right? And I know there are going to be people watching this who are going to say, "But not everybody likes Metallica." I'm telling you. And look, I'm not. Maybe I shouldn't be speaking for these younger. I mean, you're a young guy, so you're a college
Yeah,
age
oh, I
young man.
love some Metallica, AC/DC,
Not every
Motley
player,
Crue.
not those players. They may not listen to Metallica on a daily basis on their iPod or their iPhone rather, but I bet you most of them would love to hear it as they're running out on the field, getting ready to play a freaking football game where you need adrenaline, you need to be fired up. You don't want to come out to a football game like da 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 da. You
Yeah.
need to be fired up and ready to roll. And I guarantee you, Rich Rod's getting them fired up in the locker room before they
Oh,
run
yeah.
out. Keep that momentum rolling, man.
You
That's
don't
what
wanna
I
come out
say.
to you don't wanna come out to the beginning of Freebird, so to speak.
I wasn't going to say that, Tyler.
Oh, no,
I
I
wasn't
don't.
going to say that.
It's alright. Like I said, it wasn't one of my best ideas,
That's
just a
okay.
little creative thing that
Hey, look, man,
popped
we've
up.
all said some dumb things on X. I'm guilty, and I'll probably do it again tomorrow. So no big deal. When you post as much as we do, it's at some point you're going to say something stupid
Oh, yeah.
or something you'd like to take back.
Oh, yeah.
Um, let's change the conversation a bit, man. Um, there's some chatter on, and heck, it's all season, right? So there's all kinds of chatter about off the wall stuff. But there's chatter now about with Larry Knight, the edge rushing coach, leaving to go to Georgia. There is talk about who replaces him, and there's some talk on social media, and even other podcasters have talked about it. Bruce Irvin, they should hire Bruce Irvin, and Bruce Irvin even kind of hinted that he would like to, like the job. Well, of course he would. But
Mhm.
anyway, what are your thoughts on Bruce Irvin being the edge rushing coach or slash pass rushing specialist coach for this West Virginia team?
I don't hate the idea of having him on the staff. You bring in Pat White, you bring in Steve Slayton. The difference is they're both assistant position coaches.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the primary position coach, and so I don't hate the idea of bringing him in on the staff. I don't know if I'm fully on board with him being the edge rushers position coach primary, especially because if I'm not mistaken, he doesn't have very much, if any, coaching experience at all, and throwing him in at the D1 level as a position coach is quite the start to a to
Yep.
a coaching career. But I don't hate the idea of having him on the staff. I mean, he knows how to play football, so you get him teaching Toby Hastrop some of his moves. You could do some things with that.
I like the thought of that, man. I like the thought of it. I agree with you 100%. You've got Noel Devine, who's assistant running back coach. You've got Pat White, the assistant quarterback coach. Now, Pat actually has quite a bit of coaching
Yeah.
experience, so I think he's probably a little bit higher up on the his position is a little bit more. what's the word I'm looking for? Noel Devine, I think, is more of a kind of like an analyst type guy. But he does some on the field coaching, don't get me wrong. I've seen clips of him out there with the guys, but I think Pat White's probably doing a lot more on game days and things like that. I mean, you've seen him on the sideline talking to the quarterbacks and those types of things.
Yeah.
Probably a bigger game day role than probably what Noel has. I'm guessing. But Noel didn't have any experience either. But a role like that is perfect for him. He can come in, be an assistant, running backs coach, help as an analyst, help talk to the guys about what it was like to play at West Virginia in his day, kind of relate to the players a little bit. He's played for Rich Rod, so he can kind of help them get through some stuff there. Same thing as Pat White, right? So I have no idea with Irvin coming in and being an assistant defensive ends coach or assistant outside linebackers coach or whatever, or just defensive, just a defensive assistant in general. But to have him, to put him as the full-time position coach with no experience, little to no experience like you, I just don't like the idea, man. I think it's too soon for that. Let him get his feet wet. Let him get some experience under his belt. He might find out coaching's not even his thing, right? Or he doesn't even like it that much. Who knows? But I think it'd be a huge risk to throw him in there. My on a show I did last night, you've got his name has completely left my brain, but they have a coach on staff who's a defensive assistant now who has experience coaching middle linebackers. And I'm so aggravated that I can't think of his name. But anyway, he's been doing a lot of recruiting for them. And I wouldn't even have an issue if they move him to the permanent linebackers coach and have Zach Alley move over to start coaching the outside linebackers. And that way you keep everything in-house. There's familiarity there with everybody. Coach Warwick is who I'm thinking of. There's a Coach Warwick on staff now who has previous experience at other stops coaching inside linebackers. Move him to inside linebackers coach and move Alley to defensive coordinator / outside linebackers or edge rushers. Something like that, I think, is also another option if you don't want to go out and hire somebody from the outside this late in the game.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's enough people already on the staff that have enough experience in that area to be able to make it happen without going out and making a big splash. Now, what I will say is props to Coach Rod. He's obviously knows what he's doing, hiring assistant coaches if Georgia is coming poaching them from us. But yeah, like you said, Zach Elliott, I think would have no problem being the edge rushers coach, and then if you moved. Andrew Warwick was his name. He's an assistant defensive coach. If you moved him to linebackers coach, I don't hate that idea either. And then you could bring Bruce Irvin onto the staff and as an assistant.
Yep. Put him in Coach Warwick's spot where he was at.
Yeah.
And let him learn the ropes a little bit, and then Coach Alley can oversee that position. And look, if they do that for a year, and then if hey man, this ain't working, then go out and hire somebody else. Or if you want to hire somebody now, I have no issue with that either. I have faith, like you said, they have obviously proven they can hire coaches, and I'm sure there are a lot of really good coaches at the power or at the G6 level, maybe even at the FCS level, who are capable of being a position coach at the Power 4 right now, because due to their experience or whatnot.
Oh yeah. There's plenty of names out there that you could go get.
Yeah. Fans just always like to gravitate automatically to West Virginia guys. And I get that. It's just like a few years ago, fans were upset that Stedman Bailey didn't get the wide receivers coaching job. He had 1 year of coaching experience, and it was as a grad assistant. I mean, come on. I mean, I love Stedman. We all love Steady, right? But come on, man. You
little bit of a nostalgia pull with
it. Yeah. I mean,
you don't want to lean too much into
it. Exactly. I love having those guys on staff. Don't get me wrong, but like you said, they don't have to be, position coaches making $200,000-$400,000 a year, and in charge of a room. That's what we got to realize. They're in charge of an entire position room.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never done it. I don't think you've ever done it, but I guarantee you it's not easy. You got to get up and talk to a whole room full of elite athletes, essentially, and teach them every week what they have to do, keep them in line, keep them on track. I mean, make sure they're watching film, all that stuff. I mean, that's a pretty heavy responsibility. And I don't know that just anybody can do it. just because you used to play not everybody that played football is a good coach. You know,
That was going to be my next point. Is good players aren't always good coaches, despite them knowing the position as a player. That doesn't necessarily mean it translates over to coaching the position.
yeah. And I'm not saying Bruce couldn't be or Stedman couldn't be or whatever, but leave that up to the professionals who have been hiring coaches for over 2 decades and Coach Rod to
Yep.
make those decisions. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I just want to get your thoughts on that because I know that's kind of been a hot topic of discussion on X the last couple of days. Last thing we'll talk about, man, is I noticed you put an article out on X earlier today, kind of talking a little bit about the cornerback room. What are your thoughts on the cornerback room coming into the season here?
Yeah, so I put that article out earlier today. I'd been wanting to start a series breaking down the position groups for WVU, and just hadn't really thought about a platform to put them out on, and finally figured out you could put articles out on X. I started with the cornerback room because that's the position I'm most concerned with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there were times last year where the secondary appeared to struggle. It was evident at some times that teams were able to beat us over the top. But if you go back, watch some film, deep dive into actually what each of the corners did, which the majority of the snaps came from Michael Coates, Jordan Scruggs, and Jason Chambers.
Mm-hmm.
They were all fairly solid in coverage. There were multiple games where all three of them graded out above average via PFF. Michael Coates had a couple of games where he was graded at about an 80 for PFF, which is very good.
Yep.
And so, it was the lack of size by them that really hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
And the staff did a good job addressing that. We've now got 4 corners in the room that are 6'2" or taller, but they're all coming from the lower level. And that can be a bit of a transition, right? It doesn't always go so smoothly. And so I like what you get in Damon Allen from Hutchinson, and his teammate Rayshon Reynolds, Shams Diagne, if I'm saying his name right. I apologize if I'm not. He's a physical guy, but you don't see very many 6'4", 210-pound corners. And then Jair Rollison had the same, he's 5'9", so you kind of throw the size thing
Yep.
out the window. And in particular to Jair Rollison and all these guys, I hope they prove me wrong. I want our team to be the best they can absolutely be. But if you go back and watch Jair Rollison against MAC competition, he was one of the best corners in the MAC last year. He got 3 opportunities to play Power 4 competition, and it was Florida State, Oklahoma, and Texas Tech, if I'm not mistaken. And there were some times where he broke down in coverage playing the Power 4 receivers. And so I'm a little concerned about that room, but there's also some pieces to be excited about. Like
Yeah.
Nick Taylor showed some flashes last year, especially against Utah.
Mm-hmm.
If he can take a step, I like Nick Taylor. Just a lot of inexperience and question marks, but that's the whole team as of right now.
Yeah. I agree. It's definitely the position group I probably have the most questions or concerns about. If not, it's at least in the top 2 or 3 as well. So I share your concerns. I harken back, and I know this is a different staff, so I'm not before anybody throws tomatoes at the screen. I'm trying to. It's not an apples to apples comparison, but just hear me out. I know it's not the same staff, is what I'm trying to get at, but I harken back to a few years ago when West Virginia struggled in the secondary, they struggled in coverage, and we heard the staff say, "Well, we're going to go out and get guys who are faster and longer. Talent and size will beat experience." Well, they did that. They still struggled. And the year before that, I remember them saying, "Well, we need guys who are experienced." So I'm like, okay, you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. Anyway, I don't want to relive the past, but my concern is if you focus too much on, I was at first worried that they were focusing too much on size and speed and athleticism. But then, like you said, you go looking at they didn't really get a ton of real big guys anyway. I mean, they got a couple, but not like you thought they would. I mean, heck, you got the guy in there that's 5'9". I don't, that might offset anybody you get at 6'3". assuming he plays, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I looked, I did a quick glance the other day, just comparing the size of the room, and they really didn't get that much bigger, if at all. So I think they might just be looking more at skill and ability, and more so than size and speed, which is not what they said they were going to do. So I guess I'm taking the long way around it to say I have no friggin' idea what their strategy is. No clue what they're trying to do. I'm hoping they just went out and got ball players, man, guys who can flat out play ball. I am really excited about Damon Allen, man. I think I might be more excited about him than some others are. When I watched his film, I thought he did a great job in press man coverage. I think he's a guy you can put out there. But with these JUCO players, Tyler, it usually takes them about a half a season
Yeah.
or so to adjust, man.
Yep.
And I'm worried that it is what it is. So we can at least count on him hopefully for 2027, but and the second half of 2026. But man, I don't know that I don't want to drop 2 or 3 games because these guys aren't ready to go, and that is a little bit of a concern to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a lot of both Allen and Reynolds, both from Hutchinson. So I mean, at least you're getting guys from the JUCO, but at least you're getting them from the highest level of JUCO,
Correct.
right? Uh, and he can play. He can play ball. I mean, he had 2 PBUs and 4 interceptions in just 1 year at interception. Like you said, he's really solid in press man coverage. And he addresses what the staff appeared to be going over at first is the fact that he's 6'3", 190.
Correct.
But like you said, coming up from JUCO to play Power 4 ball, it can be a little bit of a transition period, and you don't really have anybody to ease them into that spot. Like Nick Taylor is your only guy that got significant playing time.
That's it.
That comes back.
That is it. And the entire secondary, by the way.
Yeah, that's it. The
including
safety room, I don't think has anybody back at all.
Not that played significant snaps.
So it's Nick Taylor. I mean, are you going to play Nick Taylor and Damon Allen? Those are the 2 starters you roll out. Then you still are just shoving a JUCO guy coming up right into the game.
Yeah. What I did notice they did at almost every position, Tyler, is they got guys who tackle well for the most part. If you look at like their PFF tackle grades and things like that and watch their film, they got guys who love to hit, who can tackle, and who are physical.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe that might have been their mindset. We're just going to go get guys who are physical, who will buy into our culture, and who are skilled. And, hopefully, we obviously you want guys that have the size and the length if you can get them, but it may not have been top of the priority list, right? We want guys that are physical, will hit people, and are skilled. Did you see that same theme?
Yeah. That kind of stuck out particularly with Jair Rawlison. Shams as well. He's a real physical guy, but Rawlison only missed 2 tackles last year over 600 snaps. And he graded out at around a 70 via PFF in run defense. So Rawlison in particular, like he's not the biggest guy. He had some moments where he wasn't the greatest in coverage against Power 4 teams, but he can tackle and he can hit.
Yep. And another thing, I mean, we all know what helps out pass coverage is getting after the quarterback. And did they, and again, it's another question mark, but did they address that? If they address that, then it will help compensate for any potential weaknesses they could have on the back end, right? And that's an area they really haven't been great at either for the last few years. Yes, they got a lot of quarterback pressures a couple years ago, and even last year they did okay at it, but they struggled to get quarterbacks down. Didn't get a lot of sacks. So, with bringing in guys like Toby Hostrup and, Afago and some of the other ones, I'm hoping they address that. But, we'll see. Obviously, time will tell. But that's kind of the DB, you can't expect those DBs to cover guys for 4 seconds. You got to have somebody that's putting pressure on the quarterback and making them get rid of the football quicker, too. So, kind of goes hand in hand. But we'll see, because that's another area that I have question marks on too. But we'll save that conversation for another day. Anything else you want to say before we sign off? And be sure to obviously plug your show if you want.
I don't have anything else. We do we try to get out a podcast every week, every other week on YouTube and Spotify at the Cold Country Podcast. As you mentioned earlier, me and you go back and forth sometimes on X. We're pretty active on X at Cold Country WVU. Talk a lot of West Virginia football, basketball, and then we dip our toes into the rest of college football in the Big 12. It's been a lot of basketball recently. Let's hopefully we can get a win against Utah tonight.
Let's do it, man. I hope so. They can't afford to drop that one after that win over UCF. Can't give it back.
Yep, gotta keep the momentum.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Tyler, thanks again for coming on the show, man. It's been fun, and look forward to doing it again soon, hopefully.
I appreciate you having me on.
And everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like the video. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to drop your comments below. Let us know what you think. What should the entrance song be for West Virginia Mountaineers, or should they leave things as is? And do you prefer hearing the band play as the guys run on the field? Let us know in the comment section. And should Bruce Irvin be a coach at the Power 4 level now that West Virginia is looking for an edge rushers coach? Let me know in the comments. Thanks again for tuning in. If you're listening on podcast platform, thank you. Please drop us a 5-star rating, and please follow us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. God bless, and Q Country Roads.